Two men dressed as police officers walked into a museum at midnight. 81 minutes later, $500 million in priceless artwork had vanished. No alarm stopped them, and no one caught them. And more than 30 years later, the paintings are still missing. This is the greatest unsolved art heist in history. Welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, this is where we uncover the darkest mysteries, the boldest crimes, and the stories that continue haunting the world decades later. And tonight's story? This one feels almost unreal. Because this isn't just about stolen paintings. It's about deception, trust, greed, and a mystery so perfectly orchestrated that even after decades, nobody truly knows where the missing masterpieces are hidden. And the strangest part? Someone out there may still know exactly where they are. March 18, 1990. Boston was asleep. Rain quietly touched the streets. The city was calm, silent. Inside the Isabella Stewart Gardner Museum, priceless masterpieces rested peacefully behind elegant frames. The building itself felt timeless, almost sacred. Long hallways, dim lights, ancient paintings staring silently from the walls. Everything inside carried history. Every room held stories from centuries ago. And protecting all of it that night were only two security guards, young, inexperienced, and completely unaware that they were about to become part of one of the most infamous crimes ever committed. Just after midnight, a car slowly approached the museum. Inside were two men, both dressed like police officers. Dark uniforms, badges, authority. At first glance, nothing seemed unusual. And that's exactly what made them dangerous. Because the most terrifying lies are often hidden inside believable faces. One of the guards noticed them standing outside the entrance. The men claimed they were responding to reports of a disturbance nearby. Now imagine being in that position. It's late. You're exhausted. The city is quiet. And two police officers are requesting access. You trust them. Because why wouldn't you? The guard buzzed them inside. And with that one single decision, history changed forever. The moment the doors closed behind them, everything shifted. One of the fake officers calmly looked at the guards and said, "This is a robbery. No screaming. No chaos. Just cold certainty." And honestly, that may be the creepiest part. Because real danger rarely announces itself loudly. Sometimes, it whispers. The guards froze, confused, trying to process what was happening. But before they could react, they were immediately handcuffed, their wrists taped tightly, their heads wrapped in duct tape. Then they were marched into the basement and tied to pipes. Helpless, completely helpless. And for the next 81 minutes, the thieves controlled the museum. But wait, here's where this story becomes unbelievable. The robbers didn't rush. They moved slowly, carefully, almost confidently, like they already knew the building, like they had rehearsed every second beforehand. And years later, investigators would begin asking a disturbing question. Did somebody help them from the inside? Because what these thieves accomplished that night should have been impossible. Upstairs, the men began removing artwork from the walls. Not random pieces, specific masterpieces, targeted carefully. Works connected to legendary artists like Rembrandt, Johannes Vermeer, and Edgar Degas. One of the stolen paintings was The Concert, a masterpiece created by Vermeer, one of the rarest paintings on Earth. Only a few Vermeer works exist today. And suddenly, one of them disappeared into darkness forever. Now think about that emotionally for a second. A painting survives centuries. Empires collapse around it. Wars come and go. Generations pass. And then, in a single night, it vanishes because of greed. Because somebody decided history itself could be stolen. But here's where things become strange. The thieves weren't perfect professionals. Some paintings were violently cut from their frames. Others worth enormous fortunes were ignored completely. Which raised another mystery. Were these criminal masterminds? Or simply desperate men following instructions from somebody else? Because nothing about this robbery felt normal. Meanwhile, down in the basement, the guards listened helplessly, hearing footsteps echo above them, frames being removed from walls, objects moving through silent halls. Imagine that fear, knowing history was disappearing upstairs, while being powerless to stop it. That kind of helplessness stays with a person forever. And for years afterward, those guards would continue replaying that night in their minds, wondering if they could have done something differently, wondering if one small decision could have prevented everything. Finally, after 81 minutes, the thieves vanished into the night. No gunfire, no dramatic chase, no alarm stopping them. Just silence. And darkness. The next morning, museum employees arrived at a nightmare. Empty frames hanging on the walls. Masterpieces gone. History stolen. And the shock that followed spread across the world within hours. Because this wasn't merely robbery anymore. This became the largest art heist in modern history. More than $500 million in priceless artwork. Gone without a trace. The FBI immediately launched a massive investigation. Detectives interviewed everyone. The guards, museum staff, known criminals, organized crime figures. And for years, they chased lead after lead. But every road ended the same way. Nothing. No recovery. No arrests. No answers. But wait. Here's where the mystery becomes even darker. Investigators began suspecting organized crime connections. Not ordinary thieves. The mafia. People experienced in disappearing without leaving evidence behind. Because stolen artwork like this cannot simply be sold openly. It becomes underground currency. Used for bargaining, power, leverage, and perhaps, that's exactly what happened here. As years passed, the theories only became stranger. Some believed the paintings had been smuggled overseas. Others thought they were hidden somewhere nearby the entire time. And perhaps the saddest theory of all. Some investigators feared the artwork had been destroyed forever. Imagine that. Masterpieces surviving hundreds of years. Only to vanish because of greed. Because somebody valued money more than meaning. And maybe that's the real tragedy of this story. Not just the financial loss, but the emotional loss. Because art is more than paint on canvas. It is memory, emotion, human history frozen in time. When those paintings disappeared, part of human history disappeared with them. But wait. Here's the detail that continues haunting visitors even today. The museum never replaced the stolen artwork. Instead, they left the empty frames hanging exactly where the paintings once were. Not removed. Not replaced. Empty. Like ghosts trapped inside the walls. Every visitor walking through those halls sees absence, loss, silence. And honestly, that may be the creepiest part of this entire mystery. Imagine standing there in complete silence, looking at an empty frame worth millions, knowing something priceless once existed there, and knowing nobody knows where it is now. That feeling stays with people, because the emptiness feels personal, like history itself was wounded. If you've made it this far into the story, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel, because stories like this deserve to be remembered. And trust me, this mystery only gets stranger from here. Over the years, investigators received thousands of tips. Some people claimed they knew who the robbers were. Others claimed they had seen the paintings hidden in private collections. At one point, the FBI believed they were close to solving the case. But every promising lead eventually collapsed. And the deeper investigators looked, the more complicated everything became. Some theories suggested corrupt insiders helped plan the robbery. Others believed the paintings were traded repeatedly through the criminal underworld like secret currency. And then there were those who believed something even darker. That the artwork no longer existed at all. Destroyed. Burned. Lost forever. And honestly, that possibility terrified investigators the most. Because if the paintings were gone, then part of human history was gone with them. Forever. And that's what makes this story so emotional. This wasn't money stolen from a bank. This wasn't jewelry hidden in a vault. These were masterpieces humanity could never recreate. Pieces of emotion. Pieces of civilization. Gone. Years became decades. Still no paintings. Still no arrests. Still no truth. And somewhere out there, someone knows exactly what happened. Someone knows where those masterpieces disappeared to. And for more than 30 years, they have remained silent. So now I want to ask you, what do you think happened to the missing paintings? Were they destroyed? Hidden away by collectors? Locked inside a secret vault somewhere in the world? Or are they still waiting quietly in darkness to finally be discovered? Leave your theories in the comments below. I read every single one. And before we end tonight's story, remember this. The most terrifying crimes are not always committed with violence. Sometimes, they happen quietly, with patience, with deception, and with one single moment of trust that changes history forever. More than 3 decades later, the empty frames still hang inside the Isabella Stewart Gardner Museum, waiting, silent, haunting, and somewhere in the darkness, the missing masterpieces may still exist.